ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ fateh. Sangat ji, today I would like to talk about time and the focus of our time. I want to start off by saying aspirations, dreams, ambitions, and the desire to have more is not wrong. I'm not saying anything against this. But when listening to me, I want you to consider my references and what I'm discussing as being an abundance of what is needed. It will become clearer what I'm saying further in this talk. I want to start off by asking Sangat ji. I want you to ask yourself, what is time for you? What does it mean? How do you measure it? And what gives it value? I'll pause for a few seconds to allow you to contemplate this. I want you to keep this in your mind as we will return back to these questions. A professor stood before his class and had some items in front of him. When the class began, he picked up a jar, a large empty jar, and without saying anything, he filled it with rocks right to the top. And he asked the students if the jar was full. They all agreed that it was. The professor then picked up a box of pebbles and poured them into the jar. He shook the jar lightly, and the pebbles rolled into all the open areas between the rocks. The students laughed. Again, the professor asked, "Was the jar full?" And they all agreed, yes, it was. The professor then picked up a box of sand and poured it into the jar. And, as expected, the sand filled up all the empty spaces that were left. "Now," said the professor, "I want you to recognize that this is your life. The rocks are the important things. Your family, your partner, your health, your children, your faith and your spirituality. The pebbles are the other things in life that matter on a smaller scale. Things like the job, the house and the cars. And the sand is everything else, the small stuff. If you put the sand or the pebbles into the jar first, you leave no room for the rocks. And the same goes for your life. If you spend all of your energy and time on the small stuff and material things, you'll never have room for the things that are indeed the most important. But if you focus on the big and important things, you will still have space in your life for the rest. A man came home from work late, tired, irritated. He had worked long hours, as he does every day, in order to provide more for his family, and what he would consider a better life. He opened the door to find his 5-year-old son waiting for him. "Daddy, may I ask you a question?" "Yes, sure. What is it?" replied the man. "Daddy, how much money do you make in an hour?" "That's none of your business. What makes you ask such a thing?" the man said angrily. "I just want to know. Please tell me, how much do you make in an hour?" pleaded the little boy. "If you must know, I make $20 an hour," the father replied. "Oh," the boy said. Looking up, he said, "Daddy, may I borrow $10, please?" The father was furious. And he said, "If the only reason you wanted to know how much money I make is just so you can borrow some to buy a silly toy or some other nonsense, then you march yourself straight to your room and go to bed and think about why you're being so selfish. I work long, hard hours every day and I don't have time for such childish games." The little boy quietly went into his room and shut the door. The man sat down, and as he sat down and reflected on what the boy asked him, he got angrier and angrier, thinking, how dare he ask such questions only to get money. After an hour or so, the man calmed down and started to think he may have been a little hard on his son. Maybe there was something he really needed to buy, and he didn't ask for money very often. So the father went to the door of the boy's room and opened it. "Are you asleep, son?" he asked. "No, Daddy, I'm awake," replied the boy. I've been thinking maybe I was too hard on you earlier. It's been a long day and I took my aggression out on you. Here's the $10 you asked for." The boy sat up, beaming, with happiness and excitement in his face. "Thank you, Daddy," he yelled. Reaching under his pillow, he pulled out some more crumpled bills. The father, seeing the boy already had money, started to get angry again. The little boy slowly counted out his money and looked at the father. The father asked, "Why did you need more money if you already had some?" The son said, "Because I didn't have enough, but now I do. Daddy, I have $20 now. Can I buy an hour of your time?" Sangat Ji, the father, was working many hours, under immense stress, no time to spend eating with his family or laughing with them. Also, he could provide for his family and child, give the child more. But the child would happily trade that back in for the time the father has spent to earn it, because all the child cared about was seeing and being with the dad. What was spent was time to accumulate something for which was not valued against the time spent. So Sangat Ji, let's go back to what I was asking at the beginning. What is time for you? What does it mean? How do you measure it? And what gives it value? Time is the most precious thing that you spend. With every tick of the clock is another second gone that you will not get back. The breath we take is something that so many of us see as a life process instead of a blessing in itself. And in this, we squander and lose value on that which is the lifeline of our being. There is a famous saying, "Man plans, God laughs." We plan as though a future is guaranteed, as though we will reach the ripe age of 80, 90, as though we will always be in the same or better financial situation, as though we will always have our health. We plan so far in advance, we forget to live in the moment we are in. We look at what we could have, and we forget to take stock in what we already have. We spend our time trying to fill our jar with the sand, the material things that will come and go, that will slip through our fingers no matter how hard we try to grip onto it. The things we think will bring us happiness, strength, and a good life. Relating back to my professional life, there is a material we use to fill teeth that has two different compositions, the same material with two different compositions, and they have two different purposes. One looks nice, aesthetically pleasing, but wears away quickly and buckles under load. The other looks good but not as aesthetic, but is strong and survives under pressure. And the difference? The particles in the composition are bigger. Those rocks in the example I gave earlier are important because they too provide us strength, support, and resilience. The things we chase for happiness in are transient: cars, money, wealth. Again, let me make clear, aspirations and dreams are important, and there's nothing wrong with being successful. You should be proud of who you are, of what you have and earned, because it's all a blessing, but you should never have ego. But unfortunately, in the chase, many of us lose. We lose our loved ones, we lose our energy, and sometimes we lose our morality, but all of us lose our time. The sad thing is, many of us do it for our families, for our future generations, so they can be better and live better. But those children care not for the money you bring them, but for the hugs and seconds you spend with them to make them feel like the most special being in the world. So who wins and who loses? You lose your time with your loved ones and those you care about, and in the end, you lose your time to find yourself too. When we start to value our time as a commodity more precious than the money in our bank accounts, we will start to see life in a different perspective. Because Sangat Ji, all the money in the world won't buy back even a second. In life, be it exercise, diet, socializing, working, everything is healthy in moderation and in balance. Having none or having too much is dangerous. We forsake those that are important, those people, those things, those actions, that are important. And when we achieve that which we fought so hard for in the world, we realize it was all empty and hollow without those that would have filled it. A child can be in a theme park and have all the best rides and food in the world, but the enjoyment of that only comes when they're in the company of their parents. Otherwise, the same will bring sadness and fear. We all spend our time trying to build to bring us peace and happiness, and it ends up becoming empty and hollow without the love of the divine and the warmth of those human companionships, like our family, in it to fill what we have built. So ask yourself, where is the precious blessing of our time better spent? When I was in Africa, the children at the nursery we visited all were 1 to 2 years old and slightly older. They were so poor, they had no mirror or camera at home. And the first time they actually saw what they looked like was when they attended the nursery and had their photo taken. And you know what I found? Children so happy and playful and loving and caring. The lack of wealth did not give them sadness, but they still found the joys in everything little they had and experienced in life. And at the primary school we taught at, the children were so poor that for many, the only meal they had in the day was the one the school made for them. And they had one glove because their family couldn't afford to buy another pair after they lost one of them. And you know what I found? Children dancing, singing, playing, laughing. They too found the joy in life, in whatever little they had and the experiences they had. Sangat Ji, comparatively, we have everything. Comfortable houses, comfortable cars, money, nice clothes. The more we earn, the more we spend. The more we spend, the more we need to earn to maintain. We get so caught up in a rat race, we forget the reality that our time is running out. And when it comes down to doing something to progress our spiritual journey, we don't have time. A teacher I was learning tabla from some years back asked if I had been practicing. At this time I was in university. My reply to him was, I had no time, I was too busy. He stopped me right away and didn't let me carry on and said, don't you dare say you don't have time. Did you watch TV this week? I responded, yes. And he said, well, then you had time. This hit me hard. Because we do have time. But we have to consider, Sangat Ji, what is our priorities? These wonderful blessings that we have in our wealth, in our health, in our families, in what we've been given, mean nothing when we lose the fundamental concept that not only our bodies need feeding, but so does our soul. Balance. And what feeds our soul? Divine qualities, truthful, honest living, focusing on our spiritual journey, and keep company of those doing the same. In the Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji, it says, Kabir, wherever I go, I see wonders everywhere. But without the devotees of the one Lord, it is all wilderness to me. Blessings are around us every day. Wonder and beauty is before you. But we can't see it, because those very things that were blessings become a curse when they lead us away from the divine instead of towards the divine. Those which are given to us to provide peace and comfort and allow us to focus even more on our spiritual growth have distracted us from our path and taken us away from our true purpose. Our time is dwindling and our final second draws nearer and nearer. Even with every physical need met, we still waver. We still wish to accumulate. One house may turn to two, one car to two holidays to 4, economy class flight tickets to business class. And added to this, as our success grows, so does potentially a sense of entitlement, ego, and superiority. But in the end, none of this goes with you. Again, the Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji says, Kabir, this body shall perish, place it on the path. Either join the Sad Sangat, the company of the holy, or sing the glorious praises of the Lord. Kabir, dying, the whole world has to die, yet none know how to die. Let those who die such a death that they shall never have to die again. Kabir, it is so difficult to obtain this human body, it does not just come over and over again. It is like the ripe fruit on the tree. When it falls to the ground, it cannot be reattached to the branch. This human life is difficult to obtain. It is the biggest blessing and gift we could ever have been given. Time in this human life. Because in this human life we have the ability to understand our being, our purpose, connect with the divine energy, the time to enshrine the love of the Lord within us, and like the fragrance of a beautiful flower, share it with others. A chance to understand our purpose. So what is our purpose? In the Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji it says, Bai prapat manuk te huriya, gobind milan ki eh teri bariya, avar kaaj tere kite na kaam, mil saad sangat paj keval naam. This human body has been given to you. This is your chance to meet the Lord of the universe. No other action will work. Join the Sad Sangat and vibrate and meditate on the jewel of the Naam. But what does this mean? This life is your opportunity to find the divine, to connect with the divine, to find your peace and break free of the bondages we are held by in this life. But how? By joining in the company of those who are also seeking the divine, and those who have found the divine, and chanting your mantras, but also reflecting on the qualities we need to enshrine within us to clean ourselves and connect with the divine frequency. Simro simr simr sukh pavo, kal kalesh tan mahe mitavo. Meditate in remembrance of the divine, and find peace. Worry and anguish will be dispelled. Our pain and anguish are caused not by a situation we face, but by our reaction to that situation. The same scenario can be faced by two people, but the impact of that scenario can be devastating for one and not impact the other. The impact of the scenario is correlated to our perceptions and thoughts, which are colored by our understanding and our wisdom. Those who attach to the anchor of the Shabad through continual meditation, contemplative remembrance and chanting, and allow the Shabad to rule their intellect, learn to be stable in the turbulent torrential rains and waves of the difficulties in our lives. And with this anchor we find peace. But how do we find this peace? How do we find our purpose? And how do we feed our soul? How do we connect with the divine? Guru Granth Sahib Ji says, Kabir, peace does not come in this world by making lots of friends. Those who keep their consciousness focused on the one Lord shall find eternal peace. And how do we learn to do this? By attaching our focus on the Shabad and joining the Sad Sangat. How we are here now, the Sangat we are in now, the company of those who have understood the journey and the path. Go and ask them the journey to meet the Lord. Take their guidance. Keep the company of those beings like Babaji who have practiced the journey through their life, and like my father, Bhai Harmeet Singh Ji, and other spiritualists who have lived that path. Guru Granth Sahib Ji says, Jai pucho sahagani tusi ravya kini guni. Go and ask the happy soul brides, by what virtuous qualities do you enjoy your husband, Lord? Drop the bad qualities that hold us back, create a negative energy in our life, and create a negative karma. The ego, the lust, the attachments, the anger. Shed the weight of hatred and bitterness, and cut the shackles and memories of our past that drown us in the negativity of our mind and thoughts, so we can too learn to swim over this world ocean. To see God in all beings and in all of creation. In every breath you take, feel the divine energy inside of you. With every ray of sun hitting your face, feel the divine's caring touch. With every wind that blows on you, feel the divine's embrace. And in every being you see not the body, but the divine soul it houses. For the divine is within us and around all of us. The body is fed by what you do for yourself. Your soul is fed by what you do for others and unto others. But this is a whole topic in and of itself. And when we get to know the path, how do we prevent ourselves from getting lost, waylaid, going off the beaten track? This goes back to the question I asked at the beginning of how do we measure time? Some measure time by the sun, others in day, weeks, months. Spiritualists measure time in breaths. The measurement of time in reality is irrelevant, but why breaths? Because it gives control of every moment of your life. It's a precise, fine measurement that is so frequent, it gives you plenty of opportunity for two things: reflection and change. Those who reflect on every day will reflect once and give one opportunity to effect change for the next day. That's 365 moments of reflection and potential change in the year. The average human reads 22,000 times a day. That's 8,030,000 times a year. The seeker will reflect on every thought, every action, and every desire, everything that happened in that breath, to prevent the next breath being wasted, to ensure every breath and every moment is utilized for the right things in the right way. Self-correction at such a micro scale that you will never be able to go far off the path. Sangat Ji, time is precious. Live, laugh, love with the divine in your consciousness. Enjoy and focus on both the important arms of your life, your family, mental and physical well-being, and your spiritual journey in connection with the divine. The more you go deeper into yourself and clean your mind and heart with the Shabad, the more you will find peace in everything and everyone. You will be in the eye of the storm. Chaos may surround you, but you will remain untouched, and every breath of your life will bring you bliss. If there was a limited time offer on an item of clothing or TV, we would jump at it at the fear of losing out and missing the opportunity. We wouldn't sleep, wouldn't do anything until we purchased that offer. On all of our heads is an expiring timeline, but we just can't see. So don't plan to work on yourself and your journey later in life or after retirement. Understand your mortality. Focus on the rocks in your jar, and remember tomorrow is not promised, but right now is. Remember, time is the most precious and valued thing you will ever have, and it's something that's been given to you for free. You cannot earn time, only consider where it's spent and what to trade it with. Never tell yourself you don't have time. We all have the same time in the day, but ask yourself, what is your priority? And in every breath, ask yourself, is this what I should be doing? Life is beautiful, but its beauty will only be seen when we allow ourselves to see it. Peace is all around us and within us, but ask yourself, when will it be the right time for you to see it? Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.